Joel, you've done incredible work. And if people don't believe me, just I would say all I got to do is Google you and then just click videos and they can see a lot of your work.
Yeah.
And the first couple pages of your book, you talk about that journey in improv and things of that nature. But what I'm curious about, Joel, and when we touched base to do this was I want to know sort of what was those things that drove you early on back in 94. What was that leap even before 94 when you had that change? Like I guess for lack of better way of saying it, like who are you? What are those things that make you up? Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
rambling
these
on.
are these are big questions for 8 o'clock in the morning. Who scheduled this at 8
Big
a.m.?
questions from a big guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who scheduled this at 8 a.m.? When I first started, so I started as a journalist. I was a newspaper reporter, and then I went into advertising and PR work for a couple agencies. So the paper closed, and I had a lot of free time. And I started doing stand up because anytime you lose your job, that's the immediate reaction is I'm gonna go do stand up, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what should I do? Stand up. Sounds good. And so that's what I did. And I was taking some improv workshops. And improv was, and I love both, but improv was something special. When I first moved to Dallas, some friends took me to see a show, an improv show that first weekend. And I have told the story many times, but it's like the movies, where the protagonist finally finds his moment and there's a little music. It's like, oh, and there's a light shining and, maybe the sunset,
Was
there's a
that part of the
sunset.
improv show or was that an experience you're having?
No, that was just in my mind. That was just purely in my mind. I don't know if I was drinking that day or not. And so I just found my calling. It really was that moment. I really had that moment where I found my calling, and I was a volunteer on stage, and it was just this amazing, incredible moment. And so I signed up. They were giving workshops, so I signed up, of course, for a workshop. And it was, my job. I was a newspaper reporter, and I was covering uh, crime, murders, death, destruction, and it wasn't
All the
just
happy subjects.
all the happy stuff. And so it was a tough job, but there was a lot of other layers that made it tough. The paper was struggling, and so I had this respite. I had this oasis when I went to the improv workshop each week. It was just a release, and it was just something that there was a connection that was just really amazing that was happening in my life at that moment.
Well, let me
And
ask, what was the connection? You're sorry for interrupting, but
no,
you're piquing my curiosity here. So
yeah,
what was the connection? I mean, what was the feeling, or can you recall?
I think it was uh, a freedom in performance. It was, I think, discovering my true self.
That's interesting.
That and then being around like-minded people.
What did you think your
Being
true self was before that?
so there was always a battle. This responsible Joel, I'm gonna get a degree, I'm gonna get a career, I'm gonna be a journalist, I'm gonna tell stories, I'm gonna help people, and there's a lot of, I'm gonna be the best at that. And then the other part of me was this that I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to do comedy. And so it was like Two-Face in Batman. They were fighting, they were battling. And so when the newspaper closed, obviously, you know, your calendar opens up.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
you're thinking about, well, I have some time. And so I went and did an open mic, but going back to doing the improv workshop, it was just finding these like-minded people and realizing that I truly loved this improv and loved doing improv with other people. And it was just it was a freedom. It was just an amazing energy that was happening. And so I wasn't in the troupe. I was just taking workshops. And then so when the paper closed, I was doing stand up, and one of the improv performers from the troupe was at the stand up club, and they said, "Hey, we're doing auditions. You should come by." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that sounds good." And so I auditioned, and they asked me to join the troupe, and it was a really awesome experience. I wasn't thinking about, oh, this is going to be my career, or I'm going to use this as a speaker. I'm just on the weekends doing improv, and I was doing
Yeah.
stand-up too. Like, so basically 4 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was doing comedy.
Wow.
And then by that time I had a real job. I was worked at a PR agency. And so
That's
worked at a
so
PR
funny you say
agency.
real job. Isn't
That's a
that
real job.
interesting? Isn't that funny?
Well, when I say real job means you're getting paid. That's what a real job is.
Well, no, it's funny that you say that because I think that connotation or that meaning we ascribe to it is changing.
Yeah. I mean, comedy can be a real job, but if you're not getting paid, that's not a real job. That's
Yeah,
that's a that's
yeah.
a hobby. that's that's a desire, but it's not a real job. It doesn't pay rent and food. And I like to eat. I like to have a place to stay. I'm kind of weird like that. I like to have electricity. And so it, but here's when my comedy and then my real job, how they found each other and combined to create something even better. One of my clients was Texas Instruments, and
Mm.
they said, we know you do improv on the weekends. We're having this executive retreat. Can you come and do some of that improv with us before dinner? Or maybe it was after dinner. I don't remember. And I'm like, sure. And I asked another performer to come with me, and there was no plan. We're just playing these improv games. And by the way, the audience, all men, all VP level, technology company. So it's not the greatest audience you could ever put together in one room that
Yeah, not your
says,
typical improv audience.
this is not the audience that's going to say, this is going to be the start of your career. This is
Yeah.
not, this is not the audience that the ships, that Columbus leave, the Santa Maria, and they leave the dock. This is not,
The
to go
Nino and the
discover a
Pinto,
new
right? Yeah,
world.
yeah, exactly.
This is not that audience. But for some reason, they had a good time. More importantly, I had a good time. So it did work out. And that's when the light bulb started flickering. Maybe I could offer doing this to my other clients. And I was just thinking small groups, creativity, and then just like anything, when you follow your passion and people notice and they start recommending you, if you take care of your clients, if you're following your passion and you're taking care of your clients, people notice. And so I would get calls, hey, we have this meeting, 200 people. Can you come talk about teamwork, do some of that improv? I'm like, yeah. Basically, the answer was yes to everything. I don't care how much it was or how much. If you gave me a $50 Chili's gift card,
I'm in.
I
Yeah.
was I was thrilled. If you gave me a hoodie and a paperweight that had a clock in it, a leather portfolio, all those things, and that was awesome. And I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, I'm like, they gave me a $50 Chili's gift card. Can you believe it? They're crazy. I just did improv with them.
Just for frame of reference, that's not the fees that you'll be charging now. So don't contact Joel and say, "Hey, I got
I
a
got
gift card."
$50. You never know. Sometimes I'm feeling very generous. Uh, I had a college friend call me the other day. And so he booked me for an event, and at a probably, I don't know, 15% of what I have, what my fee is.
Nice.
No, I think it's 20%. 20%. But,
Wow.
hey, it's a friend. And
Hometown discount.
so yeah, I'm so anyway. So I found a way to combine these worlds. And you just, one thing led to another, and the more you work, the more you speak, people see you in the audience and they recommend you, and just as you grow, and then you do a website. And in 97 I did my first demo video, and then in 2007 was my first book, and it just grows. And so probably around 99 2000 was when I was officially full-time a speaker. I had
Wow.
97 is when I started, but I was still doing some PR and advertising, marketing with clients at that time. But 99 2000 was really when it took over my business.
So how did that impact you? Because the one thing you mentioned a couple times that was freedom.
Yeah.
So
But I'd
what
already,
was
well, that's a really good point. In 94, I left the ad agency and went on my own. So
Mm.
that's when I was not destined to work for other people. There was, it was not, I figure out early on.
I know the feeling.
And I figured out early on, this is not going to work at all. And so I had an opportunity to leave the ad agency and start my own kind of business doing writing, PR, media, marketing, videos, anything that had to do with communication, verbal or written. And so and then when I decided to just do full-time speaking, there was a fork in the road. There was either I'm going to open up an agency, hire people, and go that route. Remember, that's the responsible Joel
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
still battling, or I'm going to go this other direction and be a speaker. And so I chose to be a speaker. That was I love both, but
What was the deciding factor that made you go right instead of left, or
it
left instead of
was
right, or whatever whatever
left
you
or
went?
right. I don't know. I don't know which one's right or which one's left. It was, I think, it was a calling. I think it was truly, um,
Ah,
when I speak, it is extremely rewarding and fulfilling to make. Now, doing PR and marketing was fulfilling too, but in a different way. This was
right.
truly just this fulfillment, and it also it gave me something that I needed. And as my wife tells people very often, that I only really want to make people laugh and tell people what I think. That's all I want to do in life. And somehow I figured
That's a good
out how
bumper
to.
sticker.
It is should be t-shirt, should be a
It,
t-shirt. And I figured out how to do that and make a living at it and love it. I love when I go and do a keynote using the improv and humor, and I talk about teamwork and leadership and change. And I love seeing people laugh and people connect to the improv and engage with the humor and have fun, especially, in today's world, very, very tough sometimes. And so to see that laughter and humor, especially after speaking at a client where they've had a merger, a layoff, a tough quarter, other situations, it's really inspiring and energizing. And it's sharing that love of improv. And I love to do that. And it's engaging with the audience with the improv, because I think it's just a very unique form of art that really is very inclusive. It lets everybody join in and participate and learn.
yeah, there's a connectivity that happens when you're doing improv. And listen, there's a lot of bad improv, and
Oh, for sure.
but when it works, it is magical. I mean, there's
Yeah,
just nothing that can compare to it. Uh,
it is.
Something that you mentioned, I want to see if we can double click a little bit. You mentioned a calling.
Yes, because I didn't even know speakers existed. I didn't know there were speaker bureaus. I didn't know there were conferences that hired speakers. I had I didn't know any of this world existed. So if I didn't know it existed and I chose it, how does it, that's something else. That is a calling. And I said this is what I was destined to do, is to bring this fun and laughter and energy, but also talk about these messages and everything. My whole background, being a journalist, advertising, PR, doing improv, stand up, it's all combined. I'm using skills
Yeah,
from all of it.
I was gonna say, is it like, if you look hindsight, is there some sort of like almost like guiding hand that sort of may have led you to this, or at the time it didn't feel that way? But I know it's kind of
Possibly
a
the
weird
universe
question.
works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
There's obviously when in school we learned about Adam Smith and the invisible hand. That's in economics. Boom! Somewhere my economics professor or teacher is watching this like, what? He remembered it. Yeah. People are Googling Adam Smith.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm wondering if all of those experiences, sort of help you to that awakening or that calling.
yes, and I think you have to be open to it. You have to be open to that opportunity and not be afraid to take the risk. Um, in 94 when I went on my own, that's a risk. But my thought was, if it doesn't work out, I'll get a job. Yeah, I mean, I can get a job. So, but I want to go on my own. I want to do this for myself and be my own boss and decide when and where and how and who I work with and what I do. And in doing the comedy and the improv and the stand up, it was, obviously just something that I was still part of the improv troupe doing shows every Friday and Saturday and doing corporate shows when I was starting my speaking business. And that there was a synergy there too, because um, they would have a fishbowl and people would put business cards in the fishbowl and they would draw at intermission, they would draw for free tickets. And I would take those business cards and send emails or videos of me speaking to those people and
Nice.
to try to get jobs. And so I just absolutely loved what I did. And when I talk to students, sometimes I always tell them my one piece of advice is follow your passion, figure out what you would do for free, follow that, go in that direction, and I promise you there's a way to make money at whatever you love, whatever your passion is. Whether you love food, you love hunting, you love working out, you love sneakers, you love fashion, whatever. There's a way to make money at whatever you love. So follow what you would do for free, because I was already doing comedy for free. So it it didn't bother me. And I still say today to my clients, I'm like, the time I'm on stage, I'm not charging. That's free. I'm not charging for you. I'm not charging that. I'm not charging you for that. I love that. I would do it for free every day. What I'm charging is to be away from my family, to travel,
Mm.
to have the conference call, to do the accounting, uh, to sit next to someone on an airplane that's coughing or chewing their nails or taking their socks off. That's expensive.
Well, I don't think people realize. So when people see you on stage, a lot of, the magic is people sort of feel that you just sort of show up and you do that. I don't think people realize the amount of effort that it takes to get to that expertise. Because when you see people on stage and they do that stuff, that's an expertise in terms
Yeah.
of skill and delivery, and it takes time to build that. It's
Yeah.
not like you just sort of fell off the plane and let's do this. It's
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
It's
no.
it's thousands and thousands of hours. I was trying to think about my numbers. I probably did stand up. I probably did, a couple thousand shows probably. Improv, I probably did 5,000 shows. I joined the troupe in 93 and I kind of retired in 2010. 17 years of doing a couple hundred shows a year,
Mm,
doing for improv. And then I've done 2,500 corporate keynotes. So when you start talking about those thousands of shows and thousands and being in every situation, that's the other thing.
yeah, yeah.
Not everything is a beautiful stage and the sound is perfect and the audience is connected and you
Well, you
know,
you bring that up actually quite eloquently when you talk about your most favorite introduction. I don't know if you
yeah,
recall that from the
in the book, Bob, who
Mr. Magic. Yeah,
Bob,
you're doing the
yeah,
magic show, Joel.
yeah. I was doing, for those who haven't read the book, so I was doing, it's about 400 or 500 people. It's a big group, big audience. And Bob was a sponsor. Bob's an older gentleman, and he was tasked with giving my introduction. And so Bob gets up there and gets to the microphone, and I'm on the side. I'm all mic'd up, ready to jump on stage, just wow this crowd, crush with the improv. And Bob, they give him a piece of paper, and Bob starts reading the introduction, and it was very easy to understand that Bob was reading the introduction, not my introduction, the introduction of the speaker yesterday, and his name was Scotty, and Scotty was a magician. So Bob was reading Scotty the magician's introduction. I'm on the side there. The audience, apparently nobody listened to the introduction the day before or noticed that nobody's like, why is Scotty coming back?
That's funny. And your mic is hot at this point, right?
It is. And I'm trying to figure out what to do. And so the executive director, he's in the front row, and I'm kind of trying to get his attention. I'm waving at him, and he looks at me, and I'm waving, and I'm pointing to Bob, and the executive director kind of gives me a what? Bob, he
Yeah.
sounds good, kind of like yeah, he's doing great. And Bob he's reading that introduction with energy and a flourish. And luckily Scotty had a long introduction. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. And so then I realized my mic was on, and I'm like, Bob. And Bob just literally just startled, like, like, oh my God, like it was an earthquake. Bob just like, what? And I'm like, Bob, hey, you're doing a great job with the introduction. My name's Joel. I'm the speaker today. You are reading the introduction of Scotty, the magician who performed yesterday. Any chance you could read my introduction? The audience just explodes with laughter. And the executive director just, finally figures it out. He runs up, going through all the papers that are on the lectern, finds my introduction. Bob is just shell shocked, and so and I said, so Bob starts reading my introduction. The audience is just absolutely laughing. It's a back and forth. I get up on stage, and then I start, having a little fun with Bob, telling him it's not his fault.
Well, see, that's the magic of, having that improv skill set, right? It's the yes
Yeah,
and it's the improv,
it
it's the
is.
agility, it's the changing
Oh,
with it's the
yeah.
changing with the scene. It's making your partner better than you. It's bringing the team together and
Have you
sharing
been
that
in a
experience.
class? You're absolutely right. I love to hear that. It is, and it's funny because you would think professional speakers would, all of them would be able to do that. I was at an event in the fall, and the speaker was having problems with her slides, and the slides were um, they were
Auto
advancing.
rotating, advancing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and she was getting very flustered, and she was having a hard time with that. For me,
That's gold,
what
baby.
it is gold. It is gold. I can't wait. And I've had situations like the power's gone off. I've had a fire alarm where we've had to evacuate the building. Uh, I have had Larry Hagman, the actor who plays JR. Here's one of my greatest. You never know what's going to happen when you're doing a keynote stories. So the client, this is in Dallas, and this was when they were redoing the Dallas show, which I
Oh
think
yeah,
was in the
yeah.
early 2000s. And so Larry Hagman, before he passed away, he was on the show, and he was living at the hotel that I was speaking at, like in the big presidential suite or whatever. And the client was either had a connection or a contact or a friend, I don't remember. And he said, "Hey, Larry Hagman offered to come by and say hello to the audience." And I'm like, "That's awesome. How cool is that, right? You're in
Yeah.
Dallas. You came to Dallas for a meeting, and then Larry Hagman, JR from the show Dallas is going to come say hi to you. That's pretty awesome." And the client's like, "One problem, the time frame is probably in the middle of your keynote.
Oh, jeez.
And would it be okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to deny the audience the chance for JR to come up." And so, what was funny was, so the audience was kind of a low energy audience. They were pretty low key. And so Larry Hagman comes in, hat, the whole thing. He's older at this point, but he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And, he had the big hat and belt buckle. And he was battling cancer, and he didn't shake hands. He'd fist bump. And so he comes up to stage, and the audience is going nuts. I mean, this is Backstreet Boys in their prime. This is what the audience was doing. And I was not getting this reaction from the audience pre Larry Hagman. Not getting anything. I didn't even know they were out there. That's how good I was doing before Larry Hagman showed up. And he goes, "Oh, welcome to Dallas. I understand you guys are having a meeting here, and thank you for being here. It's a great." He's just really playing up his JR voice. And so then he walked off. He just said a few minutes, walked off, and then I had to go back to my keynote. I'm like, "Oh, so we were talking about teamwork and change and leadership." So you never know what's going to happen, and I think that improv does I think it's important. I think one of the great lessons that improv taught me was to embrace change and to be open and flexible, not to fear the change and to embrace it. And it carries over into everything that I do. And I love when things go off kilter a little bit, especially when I MC, because it just gives you so much material, so much to deal with.
Yeah, it's a little spice to life for sure.
Yeah, and either you can handle that change or you can't. And as a professional, you should be able to handle that change and you should be able to embrace it as a speaker. But like I said, I've seen many situations where they don't, they're struggling. And but it's also being in that situation thousands of times and understanding what to do and how to connect with an audience. And you only get that experience through through those years.
It's
But I
putting the reps in, putting the reps
putting
in,
the reps
right?
in. Yeah, for anything, you know?
It's funny you say that because I think people, and I apologize for shifting gears here a little bit, but it reminds me of sort of the leadership journey too, right? As a new leader, you just don't have the reps,
Yep,
right? And not it's not like we go to college and they say, here's your leadership degree.
right.
So
You have
I
to
think it's
start. Yeah, you have to start. You have to
yeah,
take
yeah,
that first step and not be afraid to take that first step and have confidence, be open, be flexible, and learn from your mistakes. And all these are values of improv, and that's why I think it's a perfect skill set for leaders to learn. You know, to kind of have some aha moments about
mm,
embracing change, about helping the people around you be successful, about being present and in the moment, right? About not staying in the game. I think that's the best message improv ever taught me was that the game, somebody might say something that doesn't work or it's not funny, it's not working, but you can't give up. You have to stay in the game and
yeah.
find a way to be successful with your team. And I think that's the best message that improv ever taught me, best message that I ever would say to my kids, and certainly the best message that I would ever say from stage.
Yeah, for improv, what improv did for me was it gave me presence.
Hmm.
That was one thing that I had struggled with, and when I started doing improv, it was incredibly helpful to teach me that skill. So I'm thankful for the time I did there because I learned quite a bit from that perspective. But you had mentioned something, the values of improv. Curious, you said values of improv. If I had to say, what are the values of Joel? What would you say?
I would say to be open to opportunity, that not everything has to be based financially. And I try to teach a lot of speakers, new speakers, that not every decision should be based on how much you're making. It should be
Mhm.
based on sometimes what you can give and the audience that deserves it or needs it or appreciates it, or an opportunity that's going to present and create more opportunities. And so I think, giving back is important to me. I think that's a value. I started 2 scholarships at the University of Kansas, my alma
Oh, wow.
mater. Yeah, and so the 2 have really just one I did on my own, and it's called the Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship.
What?
So, yeah, so people who receive this scholarship from the University of Kansas have to put on their resume Joel's F Chicken Piccata Scholarship. And here's the story. And so
I would say
I
yeah, there better be a story behind this
oh, there
one.
is. I do love chicken piccata. I'm at lunch with the endowment person. We just met. She called me out of the blue, and I was at the point where, I had some success and I wanted to reconnect with my alma mater, and I was thinking about maybe I should start a scholarship. I didn't know how. I didn't know how that process worked. And so
Can I just ask if I may, what was it what was the catalyst that said that I got to do this?
education I think is very important. And I think every problem can be solved by education. And so, if I was saying, well, where am I going to give my money? I want to give my money to, I mean, I give my money to other places, but education, I think, is something that's forever.
Yeah.
And for many years, I had a scholarship at my high school, and it wasn't an endowed scholarship. They would write essay. I would choose the best essay and just send a check. And I didn't do that I haven't done that scholarship. We stopped doing that. People change and
Yeah.
or contacts change and things like that. And I think we stopped right before the pandemic, I think,
Mm.
or during the pandemic. So, but the KU scholarship, it was just something that, I had success and I wanted to give back and I wanted to have a connection. The University of Kansas gave so much to me. And so we're having lunch with the endowment person who I just met. Her name was Corey. And I'm having chicken piccata. And so we're talking about, she's telling me how, the process of endowing a scholarship, which anyone out there, I highly recommend it. You can do this. It can be a multi-year process to start a scholarship at your alma mater, because what it does is it creates a connection to that school that is forever. And it's just a amazing, energizing, inspiring, motivating way to connect. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made. So I'm eating chicken piccata and she goes, what would you call your scholarship? And I'm eating the chicken piccata and I'll take a bite and I go, we should call it the Joseph Chicken Piccata Scholarship. And she laughed. And that's all I really need is one laugh. That's all I need. And I'm like, that's what we're going to call it. And she's like,
Done.
we can't call it the Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship. I'm like, why not? I go, humor, silliness, whimsy. That's what created this money, right?
Yeah.
Fun, whimsy, silliness. That's what created this money that I can give back and I can start this scholarship. She goes, okay. And so she writes it all up. I get a call from her boss, who I guess is at that time the head of the Endowment Association. And they said, we can't call it the Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship. That's ridiculous. It's silly. And so that's the other value of Joel. I don't like authority pushing on me. I don't, if just because someone says we can't do something or that's the way we've always done it, those are evil words, right? I don't like that. And so so I said, oh, absolutely. We're going to call it the Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship. Now this is the hill I'm dying on. I'm like, we are absolutely, they're like, we've never called a scholarship something like this. We can't do it. And I said, oh, we are. And I said, I'm going to tell you right now, if we don't, then I'm going to take this money and I'm going to call K-State, which I have no relationship to K-State University, but it's the other major university in Kansas.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm going to give them that scholarship. And they're
Did
like,
you really say that to him?
absolutely. Word for word. Direct quote. I remember. Because why I remember? Because immediately after I said that, they said, oh, okay, no problem. We'll call it the Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship. Yep, we can do it. And
Funny how that works.
yeah. And so I think the first scholarship was given out around 2010, maybe somewhere in that range. So for however, I don't know, 15 years, 12, I don't know, 12 to 15 years, sometimes two students have received, I mean, it's not a full, huge,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pay for the whole scholarship, but, pay for books or, a computer or something.
Have
I think
have
they
you
get like 1,500, couple thousand.
have you ever searched on LinkedIn?
No, I
That's
should.
good. Yeah, I think
I
that'd be pretty
should.
funny.
Yeah. So, because I just think, here's what I imagine. Someone being in a job interview, right? And they've got their the resume and they're in a job and I see what is this Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship? Are you a chef? Is this a chef internship? How are you? Because this is in journalism. So these are, people
Oh,
reporters or editors, photographers. So I just envision having that job interview and someone going, what is the Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship? Or someone gets an interview because someone saw on the resume this Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship that stood out. And so
that's
that's
hilarious.
that whimsy and silliness that I want to, because that's a value of mine too, to have fun and to be silly and to to bring whimsy and that's always been part of my career. Even when my first job, when I was working at a movie theater, picking up people's trash, finding the fun in work and being a little bit silly and bring that whimsy. And then I started a second scholarship. My professor, who has passed away, his name's Tom Eblin. And so I had this idea. I was doing this event at KU, and I had this idea that we should honor him and do this scholarship. And I announced it I had this idea in the shower, announced it that day. I said, we're going to start a scholarship for Tom Eblin. He was, a general manager of the school newspaper, and he was very active in journalism and being a newspaper reporter in that region and an editor. And so I sent out maybe 10 emails, and those emails turned into hundreds of emails, and that everybody donated to the fund, and that
Oh, that's
scholarship
cool.
was endowed in a month, was fully
Wow.
endowed, and is worth way more than my scholarship because people still donate. I think the value of that endowment is in the almost 200,000 is the value of that endowment that people have
Wow.
given, and it's grown. And like, I think 3 or 4 students received pretty substantial scholarships from that scholarship. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it just had an idea in the shower, wanted to honor my favorite professor, my mentor, and sent out like 10 emails, and everybody that was pretty awesome to see everybody jump and join and be part of that. And not just students, but people he worked with in the Kansas Press Association, the Kansas City Star, and through his lifetime. And so it was it's probably if one of the best things I ever did.
Did you ever imagine that back in 1994?
No, no, no. But at the same time, I didn't really have a plan. And that's another value of mine, is that I didn't really have a plan. I didn't even know this was going to be a thing for this long. And then I was going to do 2,500 events and then be on the podcast with you, Thomas.
25
That
and
was,
counting. Yeah, yeah, I know.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, that's a value. Is I just never had a plan. I never like, well, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. It was just, I want to have fun. I love doing this, and that was my focus. And it just, if you're open to opportunity, doors will open for you, and you have to have that in you to walk through that door. And sometimes you got to knock on the door, and you'll be surprised who answers and who says yes. And I think that's a important concept, is that you have to put yourself out there. You have to ask. You'll be surprised. You didn't know me. I sent you a note on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep,
And
absolutely.
you said yes, and now we're on the podcast together. This is gonna blow up. This is what's gonna turn my career around.
Yeah, yeah. The both of ours. We don't know which way though.
After this podcast, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be on the Today Show.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
gonna see this, Thomas. Who knows? It could. Why couldn't it happen?
Exactly. Hey, listen, if there could be a Chicken Piccata scholarship, why not?
Why not? You don't know who's going through podcasts, and all of a
Well,
sudden they
you know what
listen to your podcast. You don't know.
exactly. You don't know. But what I find very inspiring about our conversation is that, and I don't know if this is a consciousness or if this is a sort of, it just happens it, but I feel like because you are following what I call these core values, these things are happening,
I agree.
right? You know,
Sure.
and as you're talking, I've been just jotting notes like,
Yeah.
fun, whimsy, connection, sharing, communication, creativity, freedom, openness, giving back, education, like all those things you talk about.
That's good. That's a good summary, Thomas.
That's right. Yeah. Today's show, here we come.
Here we go. Me and you. We'll come. We'll go. We'll do it together.
Yeah, there you go. That
We're a
works.
package. We're a
Yeah,
package.
that's right. That's right. I'm all down for that. But it seems like all those elements you have been living and have been manifesting. right? And it's like, and my premise or what my theory is that not everybody does that. Or
Right.
to your point, we get to that point you said earlier, you can go left, or you can go right, you can, do the agency, or you can do this. I think sometimes people don't lean into those things that you leaned into, and then
Yeah.
take a different direction. And then, then there's this, there's a reason why the famous Gallup survey says that 70% of people are dissatisfied with their job or their work. So, and that's why I think your journey and your discussion in this is important, so people can hear that, and then, maybe have their own journey or have their own sort of discovery in terms of what they want. So that's why I want to thank you for that authenticity and that, willingness to share, which obviously is no surprise based on the work and what you do and who you are.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
thank
want to
you.
thank you for that.
Oh, I got a little goosebump there, Thomas. Thank you. This made my day. I've peaked. I don't have to do anything else today. This is it.
I don't know about that. Well, I'm curious if you would humor me, no pun intended, with who would be some of those maybe heroes or people who inspired you either early on in your life or even now, or but like who would they have been in your life? What drive, like, who are those people that give you that inspiration?
I think anybody that goes against the norm, that does that is unique and has a unique perspective. People ask me who I always like as far as comedians, right?
Oh yeah,
That's a
yeah,
question,
yeah.
right? And I always gravitate toward people who have a voice, who are doing something different, who are expressing themselves in a different way. And that's I have a great deal of respect for. And even musicians, sometimes you have to look at, okay, maybe that person isn't for me, but what is he or she trying to do? And is he or she connecting with their audience? And you
Mm,
have to respect that. That might not be for you, but you can't say, "Oh, that's I don't have any respect for that." You have to look at something and say, "What are they trying to do? And who are they trying to do it for? And are they reaching that? Are they doing it?" And if they are, then you have to respect it. I remember you remember Siegfried and Roy?
oh
Remember
yeah,
remember the
yeah, yeah,
magician Siegfried and Roy
yeah.
in Vegas? I remember I saw them one show, and uh this was not too right before
The
the
accident.
end,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
accident, yeah, right before the end. So I'm in the front row, and so close that they parade like a cub, a tiger cub, across the stage, and we could pet the tiger cub
Oh my
as they
God.
crossed the stage. Yeah, so that's how close I was. Did I enjoy the show? This was no, this show was not for me, but I respected how the audience in that theater loved that show. That audience was engaged every moment. Was the show connecting to me? No, it wasn't. But I have to respect the artists because they are giving that audience what they want. And so you have to respect that. And so the people I look up to are the people that are out there doing something different, that doing it their own way. That's always has been my uh, kind of what I gravitate toward. And
Mm.
also people who, and there's uh, so many people. I was watching a video the other day, Jane Goodall,
Yeah, the
with the
chimps. Yeah, yeah,
apes,
yeah, yeah. Yep.
right? I mean, she did her own thing. This is what her passion was. People who follow their passion, you know, I want to know their story, right? And so that's one example, right? That she's out there. Nobody hired her to say, "Come do this with the apes."
Right, right, right.
She just did it,
They actually
right?
actively planned against her to do these things for her research. So yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many people like that, and I think everybody has the opportunity to do something like that. Everybody has the potential. It's
Yeah.
whether you choose to take that risk. It's whether you choose to put yourself out there. And everybody has a different calling, and everybody has a different perspective. And what I want people to do, no matter where they work, no matter what their job is that to have fun doing it, and to be the best at what they're doing, and to enjoy what's happening and the people that they're working with. When I was working at a movie theater for $2.85 an hour, I'm not totally for sure that was how much I was paid. That's the number I use. I'm pretty sure that's how much I was
That's
paid.
probably, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was below minimum wage. And I don't know how that was, I don't know how that happened. Or maybe that was the minimum wage at the time. I don't remember. But I remember 285 an hour. I'm picking up people's trash. And I still think about that job and the people that I worked with and the fun that we had. We're cleaning hot dog machines and popcorn machines and picking up trash. And we had this manager, and he would just come up with weird jobs. We would be polishing brass, and just like, yeah, all the brass needs to be polished. That wasn't his voice, but
That's a
um,
pretty good
it,
voice.
it's pretty good voice. And so, I think about that job and how much fun that we had. And so that really always stuck with me, that you have to have fun. You have to be present. You have to be, you have to really do the best that you can, but always have fun is such a big part of everything that I do. And I think as we get older, we start making decisions that aren't based on fun.
Yeah.
They're based on, finances or career or responsibility or family. Like we mentioned, you have three young adults, children, and I have two young adult children, 18 and 21. Almost probably 95% of their decisions are based on, is this fun? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
95 to 98% of their decisions is based on, is this fun? And as you get older, you start making choices that aren't based on fun. They're based on finance, responsibility, family, whatever. And you realize all of a sudden you're in a job that you're not passionate about, that you don't love, because you made all these small micro decisions that aren't based on fun, and you realize that you're not having fun. And so we have to make sure that fun is part of the process and part of what we do, no matter what our job is. IT, accounting, marketing, HR, sales, manufacturing, construction, you name it, whatever the job is, you can have fun at it.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. And you're right. And again, I go back to that Gallup score. There is that differential, and I'm trying to understand how we close that gap. And I see the work that you're doing and what you're inspiring is almost fulfilling that very similar mission. It's closing that gap.
Yeah.
It's not you just having fun,
No.
right? It's you're bringing everybody to it and awakening
Eh,
to it. So
Yeah.
I absolutely really appreciate the work that you do, and I'm sure
Oh,
those that are touched by that sort of get that same thing. So I'm very happy that you're pursuing this and that you're having success at it, because your success is an indicator of the need for this,
yes,
right?
for
So
sure. And,
that is very inspiring.
and fun isn't just, we're just belly roll laughing. Fun
Right.
is, fun is, you mentioned that you're in accounting, and I'm sure when all the numbers add up, I'm sure that's fun, right? And you remember the kid in math class that solved the algebra problem, and they're like, that's not fun for me.
Right.
There
Right.
was
Right. Right.
nothing with a number is fun with me. I shut down that part of my brain. But it's fun for that person. So what is your fun? What is it that's going to energize you? Is it a different role? Is it a different responsibility within your job? What are these little victories that you should celebrate? These ta-da moments that are fun. What is it that's fun? Is it connecting? Is it giving back? Is it doing something for other people? Is it mentoring? Why can't that be fun? Right? Is
Yeah.
it, taking the new hire out to lunch and giving them some words of encouragement? Is it
Well, that's where I,
finding
that's where I see my sort of little slice of the world is a different lens to do exactly what you're doing. I think you're saying if they connect to that fun of who they are, they explore it. And I'm sort of trying to say is if you connect to those core values, it's going to lead you to that fun, right?
yeah,
So, and that's what I'm hoping that people do, because I think most have forgotten about that. And my point is to see how people can get awakened to it. And you're a perfect example of somebody who was listening to that voice and listen, connecting to those values, whether you realize it or not, I don't know. But
right.
that is sort of what I feel has been guiding your journey, which is super cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I apologize if I'm like, getting rainbows and unicorns here, but I really
Yeah.
feel that, and that's why I wanted you to come and share these things. But one interesting thing is, so when the producers of today's show are reviewing this and they're
Yes.
listening to
And
this,
they will.
and they will when they review
When
this,
they discover your podcast,
yeah,
and they will.
exactly. Yeah. What do you think are the one or two key takeaways that they're going to take from our conversation?
I would hope that how important it is to be fulfilled and rewarded at work, right? Because to have passion at work is makes us at our best, better at our best as an innovator, as a communicator, as a leader. Whatever we do, we're going to be at our best if we have passion. If as a leader, when you hire somebody and you're going to pay them a salary, it's not, they don't have to have passion. There's nothing in the contract that they have to do their job. You expect them to do their job and you expect them to do their job well, but there's nothing that, oh, you have to have passion for your job.
Mm,
That's an individual's choice. And we want that passion because if that happens, there's going to be more success. But as leaders, we have to create responsibility and ownership. And then people start to care. And when they care, then they have passion. So one is to follow that passion, to be passionate about your job and find ways to fuel that passion, whether it's fun, whether it's giving back, whether it's, what is it that's going to fulfill you and reward you, celebrating these moments, creating positive support. So I think number one is to follow your passion. Follow your fashion. I think I almost said follow your fashion.
well,
Being
hey,
well
listen, following your
dressed.
fashion can lead to that as
Yeah,
well.
be well dressed. Be well
So
dressed, Thomas. That's the point of this whole podcast.
I'm trying.
You've got a scarf. It's
Yeah,
like
well, it's
apparently the
chilly.
heat's off at your
It's
house.
chilly. Yeah.
The heat's off. You're in your gloves. And so passion, have fun, embrace change, right? Change is going to happen, whether we like it or not. And most change is out of our control. And so I think those would be top three. And
That's
all
amazing.
these messages are in my book. Also, I think my book, Make the Right Choice, Lead with Passion, Elevate Your Team, and Unleash the Fun at Work. Everything that we talked about in much greater detail. And each chapter has a bunch of ideas to encourage fun and embrace change and to discover your passion.
That's awesome. And I usually just use the audio, but people can't see. I've got the book right here, and
Okay, we
I
just do
got
audio.
it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we got
I
all that
showered
stuff
for
there.
this, and I didn't have to shower. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't.
I put
Anyway,
product in my hair.
that's
But the
right.
book is available Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever you buy your books, hard copy, Audible. The voice of Superman, the voice of animated Superman does the Audible.
Oh,
So
nice, nice. I was gonna say, what's the best way that people can contact you or get the book? But we covered the book. But if
yeah,
people wanted
Amazon,
to
Barnes and
see,
Noble.
yeah, if people wanted to sort of get in touch with you and maybe to bring some of that into their organization or get some
Yes.
sort of consulting on that, well, how would they get in touch?
Well, something brand new. I just started this. It's pretty hot. It's kind of a happening thing
Oh my God, do
where,
we have a scoop here? Do we have a scoop on
yeah,
this
yeah.
podcast?
I
Oh,
created a website. It's all the kids are doing it.
oh, no way.
Yeah. And so Joel Zeff, just my name.com. JoelZeff.com is my website. And then there's all the links, social media. LinkedIn's the best way to connect and follow me. That's my preferred social media.
That's how we
For
connected.
video, YouTube. YouTube is, just Joel Zeff. There's really, I think there's only three on the internet, three Joel Zeffs. There's me. There's a guy in Brazil named Joel Zeff. So
Oh, really?
everything's in Portuguese. So it's obviously not me.
Not you.
not me. And then there's a rabbi. There's Rabbi Joel Zeff.
Oh, I wonder if Brazilian and rabbi also like chicken piccata.
I, I don't know. One time the rabbi called me out of the blue and said, "Are you Joel Zeff?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I'm Joel Zeff." And I said, "Oh, well, it's nice to meet you. How cool." And he said, "Well, I was speaking at a conference, and people kept coming up to me and wanting me to sign my book." I was like, "That's fantastic." He's like, "Yeah, I don't have a book." The conference bought your book. This is my first book. The conference bought your book, and everybody had it, and they wanted me to sign it. And I said, "Keep signing those books, Rabbi."
That's yeah, that's awesome. That's a
Yeah,
great story.
yeah.
Well, hey Joe, listen, I can't thank you enough for this. I have a funny feeling that we've got some more conversations either in pods or
Oh,
outside of
yeah.
pods outside this. So I can't really thank you enough for doing this.
Thomas, it's my pleasure. I know it's a lot of work putting together podcasts, which is why I don't do it. Remember, remember my value is this fun. So the reason I don't have a podcast because it's a lot of work, doesn't sound like a lot of fun to do all that. So I respect the hosts that put the work into it, and it is a lot of work. I mean, obviously we're having fun with the conversation, but it is a lot of work, and you give the opportunity for a lot of people to put their voice out there. And if one person listens and is motivated or inspired, it's why you do it, and so that's pretty awesome. So
I
thank
appreciate
you for
that,
the opportunity.
and we know that one person will be that Today Show producer.
Yeah, it's in New York. You're in New Jersey. Why
That's right.
not?
Exactly. Exactly. All right.
The publisher's in New Jersey. My publisher Wiley is in Hoboken.
Oh, I lived in I lived the ceremonial 2 years in Hoboken, so I lived there
Yeah,
for a couple of years. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful
Well, the next
experience.
time I'm up in New Jersey, we'll go grab a cup of coffee.
That would be absolutely wonderful. I
What
appreciate it.
exit? What exit are you on? What exit?
I'm actually closer to Pennsylvania, so I'm not yeah, I'm off 78. I'm further out. So anyway.
See, I know my New Jersey
That's right.
language. What
Exactly.
exit? What exit you live off of?
No, I'm off 17, so we'll see. Yeah. So,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
All right,
Put it
my
down.
friend. Listen, we will talk soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate it.